Good evening, Brooklyn. Good evening. Ying Tan is today with us. Ying Tan is a wonderful young woman that I met recently. She's a mother of two. She's a candidate, a Republican candidate for the city council this year, district number 43. Good evening, Miss Tan.
Hi, good evening.
Her district is your district is. Tell us about your district. What's the population over there?
We have 54% is belong to the Asian community. The rest of them is belong to Russian and Italian.
So, friends, we need your русскоязычные слушатели. Если вы увидите в бюллетене имя Ying Tan, когда вы придете голосовать в выборы на primaries, пожалуйста, отметьте ее. Голосуем сверху донизу за республиканцев, как мы это делали все эти все эти разы, что мы были вовлечены с вами. Да, приходится встать с дивана, приходится идти на выборы. This is all good things in Russian that I'm saying. Good things about you and to get people to get up and go and vote in the primaries and in
Yes.
the election. Do you have by the way, a competition? Who are
Yes,
you
I
running
do.
against?
Vito Labella?
Vita Labella is your
Right,
opponent.
right.
I think you will win. I wish you every luck, and I think that victory will be on your side, people. People, Russian
Mhm.
people, here's your candidate, Ying Tan. By the way, Ying has a website where you can also help her to raise funds for her campaign. Let me put the address on the screen. It will be after the program. It will be under this video, after the program, under this video on YouTube and elsewhere. Seekerbox.com. You can easily find her online. So, Ying, what made
Mhm.
you run this year for this position versus Vita Labella?
Um, Honestly, I have been working in the social service in Brooklyn for the last 7 years. So I have families, I have friends living in Brooklyn. I consider myself as a Brooklynite. I would say that I aware that our district is under attack by the city officials. The radical policies are handcrafting our NYPD. The crime rates are up. Kids are not having a quality education. The middle class senior citizen and the homeowners, they are not being taken care of. So I need common sense back to the community and we need the quality of life. So that's the purpose that I want to run for the city council.
And do you think what chance do Republicans have? I answered this question many times last year
Mhm.
when I was running for Congress in Brooklyn. But what how do you appreciate the chances that Republicans have to straighten up New York, to right this ship that is kind of leaking at the moment?
So first of all, right now, New York City is run by the radical policies. So, for example, they defunded the police. They also using in the name of the equity over the equality for the education right for the kids. So, as a parent, I aware the issues that we need education for kids. Like, for example, the lottery system for the JNT program instead of the merit is ruining the education system. So I aware that a lot of people in our district aware of the problem. They turn into switch from Democrats to the Republican policies because they don't want the city going to the edge.
What do you think the Chinese community in your district? Are the
Mhm.
people ready to go and vote in the primaries? Because primaries is kind of such a still water matter. You know, people just try. Some people don't know what is going on. They don't participate in it. And
Mhm.
what could be done so more people would come and participate in the primaries and vote for you?
Okay, so actually, in the last 7 years, I have been doing the grassroots and advocated in the community to educate them. If you want to change, you need to come out to vote. Every vote counts. So it's not only coming out of the primary is the local races, but the local races is very important because it changes the impact of the community. Is this not only for you and I, it's also for our next generation. Example, I just talked about education system. So the official are placing the lottery system over the merit system for the GNT program in the name of equity, as I say. So they taking away the equal education right for our kids. The merit-based test is the standard way to test how much the kid learn in the school. It's not like based on the race. It's not a race-based test. It's the merit test, a standardized test. So if you want to make a change, you have to come out and vote. You have to vote it and then take the policies that is good for our kid to secure that our kid have a good education, have a quality education.
I am terrified by this discrimination that our kids are facing in schools. I mean, my daughter is grown up, but
Mhm.
I hear stories from friends of mine, from people I know about what's going on in schools, and of course, I follow the news. And the news tend to dramatize, but in fact, all this bent towards the sexual education. Uh, on the account of instead of the hard science, math, physics, and
Right.
such. So this must be terrifying for people of your um, people who came from China, people who came from.
Mhm.
I know for our people is really awful because we are here for the fair game. We are here for the playing by the rules, and we are here for getting ahead honestly in life,
Mhm.
and for this you have to have knowledge. This is your hard currency in this country. This is how what you contribute to this society. And what is the feeling in the community, in the Chinese community here in New York, about the changes in education for the last, I would say, starting with Obama administration? I would say they tried to
Yes.
turn it around.
Yes. Yeah, it is. So I want to say is like in front of the education, every kids are equal. You cannot put like policy, politics in the school. School is where we learn the academic studies. So you cannot put our races. You cannot teach our kids about races, about hate. They don't really know what it's about. They just want to learn something in school, actually for academic. So I don't like the school to put the policies, for example, the races and also yeah, all kind of these nonsense policies that they try to put into our kids' classes. And we need transparency for the school. So we, the parent, know what's going on. And we have to know what they learn in the school, like the books, maybe whatever the teacher is teaching them, maybe it's not correct because some of them they put it political correct in the school right now. This is what I'm aware of because, for example, my kid, since like 2 years ago, in his school form, I realized that there are questions asking what is a pronoun. So, as a kid of 7 years old, how can he recognize what is the pronoun is? He knows that he's a boy, and then he will say, "I am a boy." But sometimes people say, "Oh, you might not be a boy, you might be a girl." It really depends on how you think.
It's absolutely nuts. I see people in Africa looking at what's going on in our country, and they go like, "Cuckoo, hello, is anybody home? The light is on, but the house is empty." And same thing is happening all over the world. People look at our country, and we're becoming a laughing stock. But I wanted to touch upon. So we have things in common, all of us. But I also wanted to highlight certain thing that I mentioned in our previous conversation,
Mhm.
that we come from communist countries. You were born in China. I was born in
Yes,
Soviet Union. Those
yes.
countries were not very friendly for a long time with the United
Mhm.
States. Then there was a period of relative calm, relative friendliness, and then now is what is going on. We all sense it in our communities, say in Russian community, Russian speaking community. It's a great divide again between the Ukrainians and people who came from Ukraine and people who came from Russia. And in China, of course, we hear the news about the steps that the Chinese Communist Party is taking to kind of how would you characterize the situation today to do the brinkmanship, it's called, right, in politics. So you want to put things to the brink, you want to use the critical situation. So for this, I think we you see any ways for what's the mood in the Chinese community in Brooklyn in this regard? Do you discuss those things? Of course you do discuss them, but how is it going? I know that among Russians it's pretty heated discussion in Russian and in English regarding what to do and how to kind of fix the situation.
Okay, so as an Asian, that I'm aware that the Chinese family they want the public safety, they want the kid have the good education. So this is what our Asian family most likely to have. But I'm not really concerned. I'm not really only care about the Asian community. I'm more likely concerned all other community because when I do the petition, I have talked to the resident in the district. I realized that most of non-Asian community they have the same problem is the politicians are not
Absolutely.
aware of the community. They're not taking care of. So for my agenda is not only for the Asian community. I'm more likely to take care of all the community, including like Russian, Pakistan, Italian, all kind of races or all kind of different culture. We have to making sure because we all live in the same city, everyone is equal, everyone has to be taken care of.
Yeah, and this is the treasure of the city. Our many colors, many nations, many races who live in the city, and of course, it didn't bother too many people. And mostly through the years of existence of the city of New York, people would benefit greatly from the diversity. And now
Right.
it became kind of a stigma because when people say diversity, they mean something else. They mean the diversity to kind of diminish other cultures in favor of or two particular cultures or ways of life when we're talking about the so-called minorities of not racial but sexual
Mm-hmm.
preferences. And by God, I don't want to. I want people to live their lives. If they think that this life, so be it. I want to live my life as I see it, and I welcome. I think that most attention today in America should be paid outside of things we have to pay attention to, but really cannot fix in terms of, say, preferences of sexual nature, is attention to the entrepreneurship, because you got to get this money someplace. Somehow you got to get the money to pay for this beautiful, rich America with all the benefits, with all the attention to the elders, with all the things that we are so used to, and people are not ready to part with things that were promised to them, like
Right.
what was promised to city workers, to our state workers, and stuff like that. So this has to be earned, and there are people in our community, in our society, especially in Brooklyn, who are
Right.
ready to work overtime. They want to get rich. They want to pay the money. They want, unfortunately, to give money to the government that will abuse
Mm-hmm.
it, misuse it, and therein lies the main problem. We pay to the government that does not do what is needed for the taxpayers, and I don't see how we can fix it. Maybe you can share what you have in mind, how it could be made more fair and effective.
Uh-huh. So for the middle class elderly, so they are the most group that are not getting attention from our city for years. So I believe that they serve our country, they serve our city for their entire life, and they should deserve the care that they need when they retire. So in the last few years, I have been working in the senior social service, and I have seen people they can't afford their life after they retire, and they don't get enough resources. For example, uh, they are very reliant on their fixed income, and they don't have the enough medical help like the homemade services when they get very sick, and they don't afford to buy their food because they don't have enough money. But for example, I realized that we need to introduce to the community, especially to our middle class elderly, that we have a lot of resources in the city. For example, nonprofit organization, they distribute the food bi-weekly. And we also have charity that can offer the homemade services for those in need. So yes, we need to introduce to the elderly, especially for the middle class. We have to make sure that after they retire, they still can affordable to have the living. So this is one of the case that I'm looking at. And you're talking about the budget. So the budget for New York City, as I can say, if you stop spending money for the migrant, I believe that we can use the money in a better place. So right now in New York City, we're cutting a lot of budget, a lot of the budget for the majority department, but they rather of that they spend money for the migrant, which is like 4.3 billion, and to support like 57,000 of the migrant at a rate of 6,300 per person or per month. Meanwhile, our low income family here as a couple, they only receive 1,370 or something. For per person, it's like 900 a month. So this is very unfair because you are spending the money, the taxpayers' money to the migrant and doing nothing help to help our city, to help our community, nothing help about it. So I would say that instead of putting those money, we need to help the money back to our residents. We have to support the community, put back the money on who they need it. This is
No,
what I think.
no, absolutely. It's totally unfair, entirely dishonest. And when you ask the politicians why they're doing it, they give you this, song and dance about the fairy tales that will let
Mhm,
help everybody. There's not enough. I mean, we do not at the level to be able to help people. The country is a country with order. If you, there is nobody's saying don't let anybody in. We were let in. We're thankful for being able to build our new lives in this country. But uh, legal immigration is like an old story. It's a long story, old story. People have to
mhm,
come to this country legally. This is what was President Trump's agenda about. And now we see that what's going on with this Title 42 being lifted. One of these days, we will. We have a flood right now. We have a
mhm,
tenfold when it's lifted, and with to the tune of the money that you mentioned, over $6,000 per person per month in New York City. You have
mhm.
to follow the money. You have to ask who's benefiting from all this. This,
Right,
this is all taxpayers' money. This is all the money paid by those people who now are getting $900 a month
right,
for what they paid through their lives and cannot afford the medication and cannot afford decent living.
right.
And
We have to care about our nation. We have to care about the people in our country because when you make a country great, you have to consider how to make the resident have a better life. It's not about like we're not supporting the migrant. We respect them, but they have to be get a visa to get into the city, get into the country, because it's very unfair for our legal immigrants. They take years to get a visa, to get a green card, to get to the United States, and meanwhile they just walk across the border and they just get wherever they want. Everything is free and paid by the taxpayer. It's very unfair.
no, it reminds me like in a situation, in real life situation, it's like a father of a family who takes the food from the mouths of his own children, who is supposed to bring up, and he gave birth to them, and
Mhm.
he's supposed to bring them up and turn them into decent citizens, decent people, nice people, and instead he's just selling their, I don't know, linen from the beds. He's selling the furniture from the rooms. He's not. He's starving those kids in favor of God knows what. It's very good to help strangers, but not robbing your own kids. And
Right.
that's impossible. This is the situation, the immorality of which not everybody understands, but everybody's feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
And our leaders, unfortunately, give us this whole, you know, sweet songs about freedom, about everybody wants to be free, and they come to America, and they come from all over the world. And on the other hand, they turn around and they say our country is unfair, there is no justice in America, and there is racism in America. And then they turn around again and they say this country is like the best thing in the world. It's schizophrenic a little bit on behalf of the government. So this is what
Mm-hmm.
we have to fix. This is what we have to correct. And people should see it. People should see about it more, think about it more often, and people should go and vote. Whoever
Right.
will see it in the Asian community, in the Russian community, in any community, please go, get up, register to vote now, and go and vote. There is also a chance to become an election worker. There is a website called Election Worker. Let me see where I have it. I have it someplace here. Hmm. Uh, you can email me. I'll send you the. This is my email, mynyco@gmail.com, stands for My New York Company, since my whole enterprise here is called My New York Company. So you email me, I'll send you the link where people can register in the Chinese community, in the Russian speaking community, in English speaking, any community can go and register to become election day worker. I think it's election day, sorry, electiondayworker.com. So you go there and you register, and it's a paying job. It's $25 an hour for training, which can be done online, from what I know. And then during the primary elections and elections in November, you go and you man the polls and you explain people what to do, and the watch you watch so they would follow the rules. And this is paid to the tune of $250 a day. So people can do it, can participate, and please do it and become a good Republican, really a Republican who's not just sitting and watching on nice YouTube videos on iPhone or on a computer, on a laptop, or but be the one who's affecting the change, who's changing the situation, because we can do it. There's more
Mm-hmm.
good people in New York than bad. Look around. Who built all this? Good people built it. So what we have to cover? What is this thinking of people who are older people? Do they say that situation will come to? Or do they depend on us being the ones who will change the situation for the better, or we just think in the Chinese community, in the Asian community, do people think its situation is fixable altogether?
I think it's fixable. It is fixable. So, yeah, we need to help the middle class elderly because they are the people that are not really taking care of our city at this point. For example, they not they're not all of them are having a low income. They're not considered low income, so they're not benefit for all the welfares they have. I'm talking about, for example, Medicaid.
Hmm.
So, for example, he after all these years have been working, he should have some like maybe 10,000, 20,000 in the bank. But at this moment, the inflation is so high. If you have 10,000, 20,000, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't gonna last for long. So, but in order to get the Medicaid benefit for the medical, you are not allowed to have more than like 20,000 or something in the bank. So you're not qualified to have the medical insurance. So this is something we can fix that.
Friends, if you can afford supporting um, Ying Tan, or a Republican candidate in Brooklyn, please take a note. Visit the website called seekerbox.com. This is currently the address for the campaign of Ying Tan. and you can donate as much as you can. Again, she's getting matching funds, so $170 brings you pretty much to the max of what is effective to donate. So it wouldn't go over the limit of $2,400, I believe, right? Or so. So please follow the link to seekerbox.com and consider donating money as much as you can. Every dollar counts. $10 is good. $5 is good. $100 is good. $170 is optimal. If you can do it, please support. It's all needed. It will be all spent on things needed for the campaign, like the materials, like advertisement, like printed stuff, and outreach, and the phone calls. And sometimes you need to feed the volunteers too, right?
Right.
And of course, people can sign up and become volunteers for Ying Tan's campaign, and we have to win it. This is the battle that, like, every year for the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, we're saying this one has to be won. And I cannot say that we're losing totally, because we have a lot of beautiful people. I met a lot of wonderful people through my political activities, but we need to show some stunning numbers, and we should come and vote and really deliver a victory to the New Yorkers, because the world is looking at us, and the world is laughing at us. And also, people who come to this country today, like this case that there was. Where was it recently? Was it Texas or some other place where two migrant families, two families of illegal migrants lived next to each other, and there was a man shooting his rifle in the backyard, and someone said that he shouldn't be doing it, and he killed everybody in the neighbor's house, like 5 people, and they're chasing him now. I think it's in Texas or New Mexico. So they try to locate this person. It's a terrible crime, and basically none of the people who participated in it, neither victims, no, the not the murderer. They didn't speak English. They're totally foreign to this country in more than one way. They don't know our way of life. They were here. They used the opportunity. They had the gun. They had the ideas of violence, and
Mhm.
it cannot be tolerated. It's not what America is about.
Right. The same as the crime rate in New York City.
Yeah,
So the bail reform, just like whoever want to take everything in the store, you just take it. Is no consequence.
and I understand Mayor Adams to some extent, but his latest thing was that he said that you got to buy the AirTags by Apple, and you put it on your car, and this way if the car gets stolen, and there is like epidemics of cars being stolen, so you would know where the car is. So what's then? What do you do next? You cannot have a gun. If you have an idea to go and confront professional robbers,
Mhm.
being a non-professional defender of your stuff, you go there with what? With what you go there? With a slingshot? With
I
a
don't think you can do
sword? Like,
anything about it if you don't have a weapon to protect yourself. Even though you have the weapon to protect yourself, they might still go against you. The law is getting ridiculous. But for example, in Manhattan, there's a store owner. There was someone get into the store to rob the store, and
hmm
then he got self-defense and then accidentally killed the guy. So they say he committed murder to kill the criminal.
yeah.
But in that case, he's doing a self-defense. So why you charge him the murder?
No, it's terrible. It's total confusion, and I think it's sort of a malicious action on
Mhm.
on behalf of our judicial system in New York. And we just do they think that our city can withstand all this mess? I don't think so. A lot of people are going to leave, and some measures are just atrocious. They are they're so onerous, like this project to find tickets based on how they call it, the means tested system. I spoke. The richer you are, the more you pay for the violation. And I
Mhm.
spoke with a friend of mine in London. I shared it with him. I was fuming, and he said, "We have it for a number of years already. It's called means tested
They have
system."
it in London?
They have it in London, in England altogether. So all those
Oh my
things,
gosh.
the bad things from Europe, they make their way, not only good things, but bad things in droves. They come from Europe as well.
Mm.
It was just, to me, it was like, you can say England is like mother of European democracy.
Mhm.
And it's the habeas corpus, the Magna Carta. It all originated in beautiful Great Britain. But
Mhm.
what's going on there now? We don't have any part. We don't want any part of it. What's going on in Europe? We have our own American way, and this is what brought people here. People
Mhm.
came to live here as people would live in America, and this is the picture we try to protect. That's all. Very simple. It's been done before us. It has to be done again.
Right. I believe that in front of law, everybody should be equal.
Absolutely.
You cannot base on the wealth you have, you cannot base on the background you have. For example, New York City, they just create a bill. It's not passed yet, but they talk about it. So if you violate the parking, and then it really depends on how much you make. The more you make, the more you pay.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
expensive to punish robbers in the street, but nobody's counting money when they drag President Trump into court
Mhm.
for frivolous lawsuits that they concoct. But that will be dealt with. It cannot stand this way. It cannot be like this. It's really perverting the judicial
Mhm.
system in this country, which was an example. Think of the movies that people saw all over the world about beautiful judges, beautiful courts, fiery lawyers who defend, and they come victorious and stuff like that, and the cops who protect and serve and protect. And now to ruin all this shouldn't be allowed. It should not
Mhm.
be allowed, and it's incumbent on us to stop this situation. So, Ying Tan, I applaud your courage. I applaud your energy, and I think you have what it takes to achieve the goal that you set ahead yourself. And I think that you will join Ina Vernikov, who we hope to re-elect this
Mhm.
year. So you will
Right.
be there together. They have Ina told me yesterday. We had this conversation online in the same space, and she said that they have a common sense caucus. It's not too many
Yes.
people, it's under 10 members, but what's important is Republican and Democrats, for whom
Mhm.
common sense is not just the words.
Mhm.
So please win. Please join Common Sense Caucus in the New York
Yes.
City Council.
Yes.
Thank you so very much for coming, and thank you so very much to our friends who arranged this meeting. And we'll be watching you. We'll try to help
Mhm.
you as much as we can, and you can come back anytime. We insist. So you
Mhm.
will come, and we will talk about things that you encounter, and your path to victory should be clear and bright. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much for having me here.